Hello, Five Finance family. Welcome to Flip It with Samara, a show designed to flip the narrative on how we view and use tax planning, or the power of tax planning, I should say, in our personal and business lives, right? So, with that in mind, we come before you week over week with some educational information and some strategic information for you to implement these strategies in your life, right? Me being someone who has worked in corporate America for over 17 years and now a business accountant helping other small business owners, I can honestly tell you that I have seen the effects of the power of tax planning, right? Tax planning is not just for the wealthy. So I want you to get that notion out of your mind. Tax planning is for everyone, no matter where you are along your financial journey. And at Five Finance, we prove that to you, right? We meet you where you are in your financial journey and we create a tailored tax plan to help guide you and get you to the goal of paying less taxes, because that's the one thing we can all agree on, right? We all want to pay less taxes. And so with that in mind, we come before you week over week, sharing some tips and some strategies, right, on how you can create and develop your business to get you on the path towards paying less taxes. Okay. So whether it's myself or I have a guest on, y'all, I'm gonna pull it out of them, right? Just so that we can definitely help you, whether you're joining us this week or you're joining us in some future lives, right? So tonight's topic, as you saw, we're talking about turning your passion, or turning your problem rather, into a passion, right? And hopefully a profitable business. And I shouldn't say hopefully, because this guest that I have on, like, I've been following her for a while now, and I have been someone as a guest on her lives, and I've also, been someone in the comments on her lives. And when I tell you, she can absolutely help you turn your problems into a profitable business, like, she is the girl, all right? She is Angelica Prather, and she is an income strategist. But I am not going to give her lovely introduction. I'm sure she can do it much better than I can. But I want you to be prepared to share your comments. Make sure that you drop some hearts. Make sure you drop some likes. Let us know that you're looking at this live. If you are catching this in a replay, make sure you put hashtag replay. But we want you to be engaged, all right? Our shows are always engaging, and so we want you to participate. So ask questions throughout the live. We'll be sure to take those questions. So I hope you all have your pens, your pencils, your paper ready, because she is about to take us to school for sure. I can tell you, I promise you that. So without further ado, I am going to bring Miss Prather on. Hello, Miss Angelica Prather. Welcome to Flip It.
Hey, my finance family. How are you guys?
That's everybody cheering. That's everybody cheering for you. So please introduce yourself to those who may not remember you being on the show. Y'all forgot to say she was on the show before. So for those who may not remember you being on the show before, please introduce yourself.
Well, hello, everybody. I am Angelica Prather. I am an income strategist, business coach, and a speaker, and I support hairstylists and beautypreneurs through my signature program, Charge Your Worth Academy, which specializes in helping hairstylists, beautypreneurs to actually know their value as an entrepreneur, reclaim their time, grow their profits in their business so that they are just free and loving their business. So that's what I do. And Charge Your Worth Academy was birthed out of a problem. So I will definitely be sharing the tea on that today.
I love it. And very modest, right, introduction, but we're gonna get into, like, we're gonna show y'all what she's really all about. I know that when Angelica talks about how she has helped others through her Charge Your Worth Academy, like, it is truly inspiring to see those that you have helped and hear them share their stories. Y'all, after y'all finish watching this live, y'all need to jump over to her YouTube page. She's gonna share with you, like, everything that you need to know in order to follow her. But y'all need to check out some of her success stories. amazing, mind blowing. The girl knows her stuff. All right.
Thank you.
So, yes, yes, yes. We have to give your roses while you are still here.
Well, thank you.
So, we talked about turning your problem into a passion, right? And I think for a lot of us, it's just not really knowing if this is something that people need, right? Like, I think as an entrepreneur, sometimes you may say, am I the only one having this problem?
Mm,
So, or do other people have this problem? And if other people have this problem, are they willing to pay for me to solve it, or is there a workaround that they can do themselves? So we kind of get in our heads, right? And we
mhm.
let that doubt, we let that fear kick in, and it
Yeah.
talks us out of our passion, so to speak,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I know that that is a major hurdle for most entrepreneurs. So before we jump into right how we turn that problem into a passion, I first want to talk about when do we know, like, when it's time to pivot, right? When it
Mhm.
is time to say, hey, I want to do something different.
Mm.
I can tell you a story about me, right?
Okay.
So when I was in accounting, maybe about year 10 in my career,
Mhm.
I fell out of love with accounting. Like, I
Mm.
absolutely hated it, right? Full disclosure, don't judge me. This is a safe zone for our finance family. Don't judge me.
I love it.
Absolutely hated it.
Mhm.
And I found that it wasn't that I hated the act of accounting. I was not for being fulfilled, right? So
Mhm.
I was just saving major corporations money, right? That
Mhm.
they already are saving millions already, right? So I felt like I'm not being fulfilled in doing this, right? Like, it
Mhm.
doesn't make me feel warm and fuzzy inside, laying my head down, knowing that, oh, I saved a multi-billionaire an extra 10 million. Who
Mhm.
cares, right? like, so I really fell out of love with the process
Mm.
of doing that over and over again. And you get siloed, like you get in a box, especially when you're in corporate accounting. And
Mhm.
so I had to make a decision year 10 that I wanted to pivot into
Mhm.
something else that would give me more fulfillment, right?
Yeah.
And that pivot actually pivot me into my entrepreneurship, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So how do we know when it is time for us to transition? Because that may not be everybody's story, right? You may
No.
still love what you do. So how do
Mhm.
you know when it's time to pivot, to move into another position or career?
Well, I thank you for sharing your story because everybody has their different journey. And so for me, I will answer that question, but I do want to give some context before I answer the question. So I was a hairstylist, very successful behind the chair, loved what I did, had amazing clients. I love my clients. I loved everything that I had built. It took me some time to build it. So separating from it was not as an easy transition, right? Because I knew that my calling and the desire to actually step into what I'm doing now was like it was so evident. It was like you couldn't get any more flashing lights, right? But my in my context of like I love this, how could I give this up? There was a fear there. So there are some people who are on the fear, and then there's some people who are on the realm of saying I'm done. Like I don't really love this. So there are two sides to pivoting. For me personally, I knew that what I was doing was not being cultivated in the industry. And I was seeing constantly over and over how so many hairstylists during the pandemic were in the world was an uproar, but most hairstylists was like, I don't know when I'm going to open. And I was in California at the time. Most of the hairstylists, we were open, close, and we were closed for a long period of time. And that's how they generate money. And I knew that only hairstylists were generating at least one stream of income, right? That's all they know and that's all they were banking on, right? And so I knew that there was a shift, and there was like, okay, Angelica, you either going to stay in the pond where you're comfortable or you're going to step out in the boat. And so there is like a crossroads where you have to make a decision. And I knew for me personally, when the desire to pivot, when it was like flashing lights, was actually when I had started having the conversations. And it was like, why didn't we have anyone sharing this with us? No one is teaching us how to not only increase our income, but we're slaves to it because we're out of fear, right? A scarcity. So from that side, you'll know that it's time to cross. But mine was not even from, like I said, from a place of fear, because I had to say RIP to the old version of myself, being a hairstylist, being a salon owner. And I really had to step into this place of being that income strategist and taking what I did in my own business and actually taking my own problem that I solved in my own business and now teaching people the blueprint. So I think it comes from just knowing your reasoning and your why of what it takes for you to say, okay, I need to make a shift, not because someone's forcing me, or even in your state, you did not love it. I wouldn't say that you didn't love it. It was just that there wasn't the desire, you weren't being fulfilled. And when people are not being fulfilled, their cup is going empty. So if you're pouring into another company, you're pouring from an empty vessel and you're not being fulfilled. And now, because I do work with you personally, I do know that every time that you are helping someone, your cup is being filled because you're in your purpose work. And so a lot of people, when you're ready to pivot, you have to ask yourself a few questions. Why am I doing this? What is the purpose of this, right? When a lot of people don't know the purpose, they're going to jump ship because it's going to get hard, right? So the why is important. What's the purpose? And then what is the transition or the transformation that I'm going to be offering these people or that I'm about to serve, right? And so hopefully that answers your question.
No, absolutely. And I love the bullet points, right? So if you are listening, Five Finance family, you have to know the what, the why, and then what the transformation is going to look like for all of your clients or for the people that you are trying to help. So we have one question. So I want to take the question before we move forward. So Wayne asks you, Angelica, I keep hearing the term pivot. What does that stand for? What does this term mean to you?
So the terming for me, and it's something that I'm not going to try to fabricate it. I actually was sleeping one night and because I was wrestling with it, like pivoting, and it's placement into vision on time. And that's what it stands for. And so I'll just map it out just a little bit, right? When we're pivoting and you see that point, right? And it's like make a turn, that's your new placement. Right. And sometimes that might be a geographic location, that might be a career, that might be a shift in your financial. That is where you're supposed to be placed. Right. And so when we pivot, we're turning in a different direction. Right. So that's placement. And then you have a vision, but you're not in the right place. Right. So if you're looking in your rear view mirror, you're like, that's where I want to go, but I'm going to keep looking back here. Right. So when you're thinking about pivoting, you want to think about, where is my placement? Where am I going? What's the destination I'm walking to? And how do I walk out this vision? And then it's never about, when I say time, I want to just help people understand the timing is never going to be perfect. It's never going to look glamorous. It's never going to be any of those things. But know that when you are walking in your vision, and some of it might be cloudy, know that the time is right. Don't ever question the time of is this a good time? Don't ever question, because I'm a firm believer that God doesn't make any mistakes. And if he gave me the vision, he's going to give me the grace to walk this out.
Absolutely. Okay, so you unpacked a lot. I hope y'all wrote down, okay, pivot, right? But you definitely touched on a lot. So let's go back. So when I think about pivoting, right, I first know that it has to start in your mind. You have to first want to make a conscious decision to stop doing what you are currently doing that is not working, right? So the very definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. It's not going to happen. Yes. So with a lot of my clients, I know that it's a mindset shift, right? Like I got it. That's the same thing I said in the intro, right? When you talk about things like tax planning, Who knew? Like, I didn't have that coming up, right? My parents didn't
Mhm.
talk to me about tax planning. Okay, plan
Yeah.
to pay your taxes. That's tax planning. I mean, like,
That's
but
it.
it's a different mindset that you have to have when you're trying to elevate or go to a different place. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that you broke down what pivot is, because I think that it's going to help a lot of us make sure that we're not only, positioning ourselves physically or making moves to, do a change where it's like a physical change, but also a
Mhm.
mental, right? We
Yes.
gotta we gotta make sure that mentally we are making a pivot as well.
Mhm.
So that guides us right into that passion, right?
Yeah.
What is driving us now? That so you said that you saw working
Mhm.
behind the chair, you saw that there was something missing, right?
Yeah.
And so you became passionate about trying to fill that gap
Mhm.
that you did not see. And so, in doing so, you decided to pivot and become that gap filler for others so that they
Mhm.
didn't have to struggle or maybe learn the lessons the hard way like you
Mhm.
had to. So,
Yeah.
let's speak more on that. Turning now our passion or our problem, rather, into a passion and a profitable business. So, how do we
Mm.
do that?
Okay, so this is going to be a little bit lengthy, so if you have questions, stop me, right? Okay, so let's just unpack what the gap is that I'm fulfilling, right? So what I had to decide in my own business was I knew I wanted to generate more money, but I didn't want to sacrifice my time. I had became a mother, and I knew that I wanted to increase my income. Children cost money, right? But I didn't want to take away from me being in the business. So I still want to give my clients great customer service. I still wanted to do everything that I was doing, but I couldn't figure out and I couldn't find anywhere where it was going to be less challenging for me to do those things. So, of course, my husband and I started brainstorming and coming up with ideas, and we came up with our cash flow system, right? What's going to help us generate more money and be beneficial to my clients, right? But I didn't have to be a slave to the business. Nothing had to change. I didn't have to add any more days. And then I had to factor in what is the income that I'm trying to accomplish that will suffice the new version of where I am, because I had other dreams and goals and aspirations. So we were able to figure that out. I just kept that to myself. I was minding on my own business. And lo and behold, we were going through a renovation in my salon suite. And boom, the pandemic happened. And so I thought I was going to sit back, chill, and just enjoy my family. And we did have runway money. So that gave us, and what I mean by runway money, I got that from Warren Buffett. That's something that he's like every business should have cash flow in their business and have a good nest egg, right? So that's what runway money is. So I was able to chill. But when I decided to get online, I started realizing the same thing of worry and panic from our industry. And so I realized that the same problem was happening over and over. Now I had two choices. I can sit there and say nothing and watch from the sidelines, or I can say, hey, I have a solution for you, right? This is certain things. And then I started to see the mindset of hairstylists that were the same. If I take more clients, I'm going to be great. But what it highlighted for me is, and this is across the board, and I mean this with all respect, that we lack financial literacy and we lack income literacy. And when we lack those two things, we only know one way of how to make money, right? And that's to be a worker, not a CEO. And then the financial part, financial literacy part is that we make the money, but we don't know how to manage the money. And so I started seeing this gap and I'm like, well, that ain't happening over here. I'm gonna just keep in my business, right? But the pull was literally so loud and I just stopped being quiet and started to share and started to engage. And that's when the turn of the tide. So that was how my story was. But what I realized, I had to solve a problem in my own life. 99% of the people that become entrepreneurs are just problem solvers. They seen something and they just decided, hey, this is a solution and this is an easy way. Here's the thing, when you are solving a problem and now you want to convince people that this is, you've done it, right? And the reason why I said convince is because that's salesy. When you provide more of this is a tool, this is a blueprint for you to actually solve where you are, you're not selling. You're actually just providing a source, a resource to someone.
Right.
And so when you turn this problem that you've answered in your own life, that keeps you grounded to your why and keeps you anchored, because you know that the thing that you solved, right, in your own life, and you're passionate about it because you actually walk through the journey. You know exactly what they're going through, how they're going through it, and how you can best support them. So just that's how you identify the problem that you're solving, if that makes good sense. And then I'll leave off with this part, and I don't want to be super long winded, but I love studying other businesses. Airbnb started from two gentlemen not being able to pay their own rent. Okay, in San Francisco. And we know them as a household name, but they were not able to pay their rent. San Francisco is OD expensive, and they were having a trouble. So what did they do? They got air mattresses and invited guests, hosted, because it was a big event coming, right? And that was the birth of Airbnb. Okay. And now we're talking about it all the time.
Right.
Why? That's one of the ways that we actually travel. It's like, oh, I have a family. They solved the problem, right? They couldn't pay their rent, and they were just trying to do it, turned into something greater. And their story is super impeccable. But I always look for the rags to riches, right? It's that gap of like the starting point. Everybody has a starting point, but they didn't give up, and they kept going. So I have to ask the viewers, what is the problem that you solved in your life that you know without a shadow of a doubt somebody would pay for the execution to not make the same mistakes? Number one, that's it. So
I want y'all to start getting engaged. So think about that, right? Think about a problem that you have personally solved, that you believe could add value to someone else, right? Because I think oftentimes we think, oh, that's a small problem. But let me tell you something. Adding value to someone's life could be in the form of time. It can be in the form of money. You can definitely listen. If I can save 1 hour, honey, I will buy your product to help me save 1 hour. Okay.
So I will say this. I don't want to cut you off, but I heard this today, and at 4 o'clock in the morning. So that's a whole nother thing. But this particular guy was saying how he literally, the wealthy only think of money in a time matter. That's it. So whatever's going to expedite and save them time, they're like, sign me up. That doesn't mean that they're frivolous with their money, but in order for them to actually, when they say it takes money to make money, that is what they're thinking. It's like, if I don't have to do this small task and someone is more gifted in it, it moves me so that I can do something else. And that's all entrepreneurship is. Now, like, let's taking the example of an Airbnb. Now we have hosts that are actually generating money for their family. The goal was to actually provide other sources of income, but while they solve their own problem. So that's the same thing in your business. So what is it that you have solved in your own life that you're like, if I suffered with this and I solved it, or I beat these challenges, now I can actually offer it to someone else who's in the same. 9 times out of 10, you're your own target audience.
Oh, absolutely. And it absolutely starts with you, right? I know for me personally, that's why I'm so passionate about tax planning, because I know that it works. Okay. And at first, I'm always a guinea pig. I tell all my clients this. I say, you know what? I have a strategy, but I'm going to try it out on me first. And then we're going to implement it on you, because I feel like you would be an ideal candidate. And that's how you have to do it, right? And that's why I stay anchored to my why, right? Because I have walked through the journey. Okay. And I love what you said when you were talking about not being a slave to the passion, right? I think as entrepreneurs, and I can only speak for myself, first starting out, I'm a person that when I'm in something, I'm 10 toes down, I'm all the way in it, right? And so oftentimes I find myself working excessively, right? And it's not that it's because, oh, I gotta meet these hard deadlines that I put in for myself. It's just that I'm so passionate about helping so many people that I overextend myself. So I don't want us to do that for our finance family, right? I want you to understand, like Angelica says, think of your time as a commodity, all right? Because it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So there were certain things that I had to learn on this entrepreneur journey that I had to give to someone else to do. I had to learn to delegate. It's not a dirty word, people. Delegate. Okay. I had to learn to do that. And in doing
Mm,
so, it freed up some time for me to focus on other things. Then I
mhm,
could really start pursuing what I was most passionate about. Because the
mm,
one thing that I didn't want to do is leave my corporate America job, right? Where I didn't have the stress of trying to run a whole business, but I just had
yeah.
one little piece that I had to manage. But I said I wasn't fulfilled there, right? And I said the reasons why. But I didn't want to leave one place of not being fulfilled to go to another place where I was feeling the same way, right? And
Yeah,
so,
big time.
right. And so, really early on, I had to learn, you know what? I'm passionate about this thing, but I cannot become a slave to this business, right? I have to
Mhm,
learn to manage my time, and I
mhm,
had to learn like what was valuable enough for me to put my time towards and what I had to delegate to others, right?
mhm.
So we
Yeah.
have one question.
Yeah.
So Samurai says, this is for both of us.
Okay.
Now that you are both entrepreneurs, what is the biggest problem you had to get over to make your business profitable? Uh-oh.
Oh,
Okay.
you getting into it, but you getting into it. So it's up to you if you want to go ahead and answer.
So I talked about mine. So I'm gonna talk first because I know you're gonna like knock it out of the park. All right. So I talked about this. I don't know how many weeks ago it was now. This may have been like the first live for the month of May, and I talked about me not effectively price pointing, right, my services, and how that was a huge disservice to me because I took the approach of I want to tailor everything and I'm going to give you only what you need and none of what you what you don't need, and it was taking so much time to do that, and it was making me look like I was not prepared, right? And that I was just randomly pulling numbers out of my butt. And so I didn't want people to feel that way, right? Like I wanted people to understand that I can meet you where you are, right? But here are your options. Okay. So when I started giving people options, one, two, three, then I found out that it worked better for me. So that was one big hurdle that I had to get over. So now I'm gonna throw it over to Angelica because she is the true income strategist. So I know she's gonna knock this out the park.
Okay, so just so that I clarify, I'll do my best, y'all. I just teach from what I have solved in my life, right? And so when it comes to building out a profitable business or building out this business and charging for the service, right? The transformation, really, depending on what your end result that you're giving to your client. How do you come up with these prices? I always tell people, do not make up prices out of the clear blue sky because you see the person to the right or the left. That is real estate, right? We take these models that we think are going to work. I know in the hair world we do a la carte. That gets super confusing for clients. I think
Mm-hmm.
that's just not even necessary. Then we also will be like, oh, the girl down the block is charging this, so I'm going to undercharge for that. That doesn't work. You don't even know what their bills are. So here's a formula that I give on any platform that I absolutely have the opportunity to speak on. This is a formula that I stand by, which helps me tremendously. When you're formulating your pricing and your structure of your business, when you finally like, oh, I solved this problem, I want you to think of your business in a 4 component, actually a 5 components, right? And so this is how you're going to get to this, right? So you want to start with the profit. And I read this book years ago, The Profit First, and I know it gets confusing, but I found a way that it speaks more true to my audience, and it's very, very simple. So it's your profit plus your business expenses plus your personal expenses plus your taxes equals your service fee. Anything outside of that realm, you're just making up numbers, right? So why did we get in business? If you're transitioning from one career to another career, it has to make sense for you to actually do the business. You don't want to be a slave to the business because then you'll be finding yourself just taking all money. And you hear the statement, all money's not good money. The reason why it's not good money, because everything comes with a cost, right? So if I say yes to this person in my program and I know they're not a good fit, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be the problem, right? Because there's a certain type of buyer that your service fee attracts. There's a certain type. So whatever your service fee is, know that the value has to be significant to match with the expenses that it takes to run a business. Okay. That's what's going to keep you completely separate from being a slave. And I just have to throw this particular statement out. Your business is not your baby. Okay. It is not your baby. It is an asset and a tool to help you generate wealth. Period, point, and the blank. So you can love what you do tremendously. I love doing hair, but I had to separate myself. I am going to receive a paycheck. All that money does not belong to me. If I desire for my business to grow and scale, and I have this hard time with people who are building businesses and like you said earlier, delegate. Why, if I am about growing and scaling, if I cannot offer a person a great salary, and because I'm so undercharging and I haven't decided that I want to bring a team on, I don't want anybody working for me if everybody on my is not making six figures. Like that is a standard for me. Okay. So I have to make sure that my business is generating revenue so that I can afford to pay people what they are, their skill set is, right? Because I'm all about building that. So I always tell people to think about what is it going to take for you to then get that profit. And so I said 5. I want you to think about the 5th part is this tool is a wealth, right? This business is an asset for me to build wealth. I need to have an exit strategy in place. So every single time that you are charging someone, you're only getting a percentage. And that percentage needs to be going to your retirement, right? You're not going to do everything forever. So your body, especially for hairstylists who might be joining in, for those who are physically behind the chair and you're like, this is how I make my money, I'm good. I just have to simply tell you that your body will only last but so long. If you're not diversifying your income and you're like, I love my clients, your clients don't belong to you. So I'm just going to go there. They do not belong to you. People come, people go, people move, people are up, people are down. You need to understand that this is a business. Whatever your establishment name is, as a business, separate yourself. You are an entity and you are creating some type of wealth, and your income, and I'm sorry to be like going in, I get very passionate about it,
No, let's go
but
in.
your income is your first way of generating wealth. Now, if you're not literate in your income and how to actually make it work for you, you're going to always be working like a slave for the rest of your life. That will keep you as a slave to the dollar. So when I'm talking about profitable businesses, what I am teaching you is to fine tune every ounce of your life and your business, because you need a paycheck, and that paycheck should be working for you in your future self. So don't be mad at 60. I always say 7, because my middle name is Dominique, y'all. So I'm like, Dominique, I'm getting you set up. I'm getting you set up for the future. You need to be doing, Angelica is doing her part now, but Dominique, when she's 70 and sitting on a yacht and sewing into other people's life, you're going to be happy. So me and Dominique have a good conversation all the time. So that's just my little thing that I do.
No, absolutely. I mean, me and Michelle have a good conversation as well. It's my middle name. But absolutely, like, I love what you said, and I want everybody to understand this. So she was saying that income is your first step towards trying to build that generational wealth. Now, the reason why I love that you said that is because I want to revert back to what you were talking about earlier, when we were talking about what the wealthy do versus the working class, right? And how your business should be an asset. Okay. So when every single book that I read, when we talk about creating wealth, generational wealth, every single book stands behind using a business to open the door, right? The wealthy have a mindset that this is literally a tool. This is it, right? If it works, it works. If it fails, it fails. As long as it does what I wanted to do for the time that I needed to do it, okay? And so that's how we have to approach it. That's why strategically, I set my business up like that. Like, strategically, I set my business up to be sold. I'm just gonna be 100% because if I wanna walk away from it, because I'm not doing this for forever. Listen, okay, hairstylists, y'all stand on y'all feet. Listen, my fingers gonna be like this, and I'm having carpal tunnel. I'm having carpal tunnel. Listen, it's not pretty. So
Mm-hmm.
there's life expectancies to every career, right? You
Mm-hmm.
cannot have this notion that you're going to be able to do this forever, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The retirement age I think is 62 now, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to work. If I'm being honest, I don't even want to work up until 62. Like if we're being honest, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so strategically, I'm putting things in place so that I don't have to work up until 62, right?
That's right.
I
That's
mean,
right.
and that's where it starts. So when we talk about income, there are two major forms of income. And then I
Mm-hmm.
had a guest last week and she was talking about taxes, like the three different tax buckets. And I was like, girl, yes, I'm going to have to borrow that. But when we
Yes.
talk about income, we have, income that is earned, and then we have that passive income. And so the
Mm-hmm.
thing that the wealthy do is they'll use their businesses, they'll use investments, other tools in order to create passive income
Mm-hmm.
for them, right?
Yeah.
Now they still do have that earned income, but usually their passive income is much higher because it is taxed much less, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a guest on the show. She was like, your taxes have three buckets, right? You pay now, you pay later, or you don't pay at all. And so,
Mm-hmm.
in order to get, to effectively use those three buckets, like you have to have a strategy. You have
Mm-hmm.
to plan for this, right?
Yes.
That's why we talk about the power of tax planning. So I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
you brought it all the way home with setting us up for that, because
Yeah.
it's absolutely important. It's absolutely necessary that we start now. I think we
Mm.
get into that mindset that, and I've been here too. Like I've known people that, they worked for a company 30 years, paid into their pension plan. And it used to be once upon a time that that's all you had to do. But y'all,
Mm-hmm.
prices are going up. There's a thing called inflation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some pension plans, those are like non existent anymore because
Facts.
those usually were the first things to go when the company went belly up, right? Like you got to understand, when a company goes belly up, guess who they pay first? Their debtors. They got to pay that debt
Mm-hmm.
first. They get first dibs. And then the
Mm-hmm.
shareholders, and then guess who? The employees.
Boys.
That's
Yep.
how it works. And
Mm-hmm.
so you cannot, don't let someone else manage your money. You have
Mm-hmm.
to manage your own money. It's your money. Why
Mm-hmm.
would you let someone else manage it, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I love that you brought that full circle for us, because we definitely do need help in the area of financial literacy and income literacy. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you so much for
Yeah.
allowing us. See how we worked in that tax planning in there? I told you we were gonna work it in there. All right,
Yes, yes,
so
yes.
so we have a question, I believe. So Samurai is asking, what are some examples of passive income? Okay, hey Samurai.
Yes.
So Angelica made a really, really good point with Airbnb. Guess what?
Mhm.
Rental income is passive income. All right. So, think about passive income like this: it's not something that you have to punch a clock to earn. All right. So,
Mhm.
you can set it up and it can pretty much manage itself or pretty much earn its own money.
Mhm.
Any investments that you make, that is considered passive income.
Mhm.
So the dividends that you earn or the gains that you earn on those investments, that is considered passive income.
Mhm.
We talked about when, if you have, let's say that you're a hairstylist and you have a spot that you're renting, and then you charge somebody booth rent to come in,
Mhm.
right? That's passive income for y'all. So it's
Yes.
definitely some options out there, Samurai. And again, those are just one or two, but there's a lot of ways you can make money. Books,
Mm.
royalties,
Yeah.
affiliation income. Listen, that's a real big thing too.
Mhm.
You just pose with a product.
Yeah, yeah. And to help hairstylists who might be joining in and watching our replay, right? So a lot of hairstylists that they're one of the ways that they like to structure their business is by booth renter. So
Mm,
you're renting out a space, but we have this beautiful thing that's happening in our industry that has been happening is salon suites.
mm,
And a lot of them are not realizing that's the real estate business. So you're renting out these salon suites, right? And a lot of hairstylists like, my goal is to own my own salon suite, but you're selling just a little area in that place, and that can be that is your passive income.
mm.
So a lot of these owners are not even thinking about, you particularly, because it's the real estate business. They're
Right.
not in the hair business. Now, I can't say this because I do know salon suite owners that really are in the industry for to actually help, and they're literally hairstylists. But a lot of the big business ones, besides Phoenix Salon Suites, I know that Sola is owned by a company to investors, and they understand how we spend money. That is passive income. And I think that a lot of hairstylists, it's like, this is my baby, I love my salon, I want to keep it clean. You just need good structure on how to attract the right people, but that is another way of generating wealth for you, and that takes you away from the business. So everything that you're making behind the chair becomes your income, but
Right.
everything else in your establishment is real estate. So think of your salon as real estate, and think of your salon suite as real estate.
I love it. I love the
Mhm.
simplicity of that. Okay, we got one more question and then we have to move on because it's getting late. I didn't, this conversation is so good. All right. So Samurai asks, is passive income taxed at the same rate as earned income? Absolutely not. That's why it's so beautiful. So when you talk about earned income, there are, I want to say 5 or 7 tax brackets. Like I broke it down, Samurai, in a live a few weeks back.
That's a good
But
one.
it's anyway, right. So it's anywhere from 10% all the way up to 37% for earned income. And it really depends on your filing status. But when we talk about passive income, they have 3 buckets, especially if it's long term passive
Mhm,
income, right? So
mhm.
again, I'm just giving y'all all these tax planning strategies. All right. So if it's long term, then you have 3 buckets. You have 0, and then you have 15, and then you have 20, and that's it. And
Mhm,
so that's why people cater towards passive income more. That's why the wealthy will have the scales balanced sort of like this. This is passive, this is earned, because they know that earned is taxed more aggressively. Yep. So
mhm.
it's not taxed the same. All
Yeah.
right. So this is going to bring us home. Before I ask my final question, I do want to let everybody know in the chat that Angelica has agreed to give away a strategy call. So I want y'all to drop hashtag freebie in the chat so that you can definitely connect with this income strategist. Y'all heard all the jewels that she's been dropping all night long. So
Mhm,
imagine what you can do if you just had a few moments of her time. How long
mhm.
is this strategy call, Angelica?
So the strategy call is 30 minutes,
Okay.
but we'll have an application so I can understand your business, where you are. And so that's if you're not even a hairstylist, but you're a coach or an educator, or you actually have a business, I do actually offer strategy calls for you as well. So I will send you an application and you can fill that out so that I can help you.
All right, y'all heard it, right? So you get 30 minutes. Remember, time is a commodity too, all right? So that strategy call is worth some money, all right?
Mhm.
So make sure that you're dropping hashtag freebie, and then that way we can collect all of the users and we can do a raffle and see who is the lucky winner at the end of the
Mm,
live. All right,
yeah.
so our final question, I want to squeeze this in. I know we're pressed for time, so thank y'all for being so patient. So now I
Mhm.
want you to walk us through. Now we understand how we can turn that problem into our problem into passion. We understand how we can strategically set up our business so it's successful. Now I want you to help us understand, when should we continue to invest in our business? How do we know
Mm.
when that time is right, right?
Okay, so I did this wrong and I did it right. So I'm just gonna tell you. Um, And some of the things that, well, we're quick to invest because we're like, it's overwhelming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it gets overwhelming, and we think that we need someone to come in and tell us what our business needs. But I will tell you that it's never a good time when there's still holes in your business. And so, what do I mean by holes? down to the technology, down to the flow when people come in. What's your lead generation? How are you getting clients, right? Fill those gaps in to really understand, is my business even worth investing? We invest in like pretty websites, we invest in lights, camera, action, and those are all great things, but what's the ROI? So before you invest in anything, write this down. ROI, return on investment. If I sow into this, what am I reaping? Everything that we sow, we're going to reap. And then how long do you think we're going to reap? So I always tell people need to have transformation in order to have a business. You do not have a business and it is a hobby until someone actually is in your business and has a transformation. Okay, so rinse and repeat those complete steps. Make sure that you're getting those things. And then once your business, you start to see profit, not just money coming into the business, profit. And so I always tell people, if you're going to invest in anything, invest in understanding how to get leads into your business, how to get clients into your salon, how to get more stylists into your classes. That is where you need to be focusing if you're going to invest in anything. But to know when is to understand that there's profit, there's money coming in, cash is flowing in over and over. And I know people will probably disagree with this, but a lot of people like to invest too early because they want to rush the process. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. And a lot of times when you rush the process, it's going to cost you. And now you're not seeing the ROI on it because you just went with how you felt. And in business, you have to remove your emotions and think in logic. And every time you get off of the logic wheel, you're going to find yourself spending countless money for no reason.
And that's a fact, Jack. Okay, because I'm telling you, like, I had this conversation with my husband, and I'm glad that you said that, like, knowing when to invest in and when not, and then understanding that return on investment and how soon
So,
you can get that return on investment. That is key, right?
yes.
Because when I make investments, it has nothing to do with my emotions. It has nothing to do with the feelings because I've made a mistake on investing out of emotions, and my return on investment, I didn't feel like was worth it, right? I didn't feel like I got
Mm-hmm.
enough return on the investment. And so you
Mm-hmm.
have to strategically approach, hey, is this the right time for me to invest? And if so, how
Mm-hmm.
much can I afford? That's why y'all have to connect with an accountant. So that you can do things like budget planning and stuff like that, so you can understand
Mm-hmm.
how much you really can afford, right?
Yeah.
You have something called your yummy money.
Yes, your Yummy Money spreadsheet is the
Oh,
anchor for our one of the anchors for our business, and we have so many other things in Charge Your Worth Academy. But I wanted to add to that because the ROI is, you can always justify it, right? You can always say this is going to be great, this is going to be amazing, it's going to look great. I invested in a coach to actually help me bring my curriculum to life, but I already had it in me. So just knowing what is worth it that you're going to walk away. When I was done with my coach, I walked away feeling valued. I walked away with something that was tangible that I can now receive a turn of investment, right?
right.
Because my students were having a better flow of things. But there are other things that you will invest in that is pretty. Ask yourself, am I going to make $1 off of this? Period. Like, is this going to sell anything valuable to my business? Does it add to my business? Does it
Right.
add to me? If it doesn't do any of those things, then do not spend the money. It is not worth it. So I would always say build your runway nest egg first, because business goes through ebbs and flows, and you want to make sure that you have a nest egg, because rainy days do come, or I call them God only knows days come. And that's what you want to make sure that you do. Build
Hey.
that first.
Yep. So you call it runway money. I can't say what I call it on live, but I read a book and the author calls it FU money. So
Oh.
it says that's the point where he could just say, forget
I
everything,
love it.
I'm out. So anyways, definitely thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Absolutely.
Very, very sound advice. And I love that you're using financial terms because my audience is used to hearing those terms. So return on investment is not a foreign term to them. And
Mm-hmm.
neither is it probably with your clients as well, because I know you talk about money because you
Mm-hmm.
are an income strategist, right? So
Yeah.
thank you for walking us through like exactly how to know when we need to make that investment. So we got some people. Sarah says "F you money." So we got some people that put hashtag freebie in the chat, and so I'm going to spin the wheel. I want to make sure I didn't miss anybody. I'm gonna just go through the chat real quick and make sure I got everybody. Okay, Casey, we got him in there. All right. There was an unknown user that said hashtag freebie, but I don't know
Oh,
who that is. So we're just going to spin. So sorry.
okay. Oh,
I
say your
know.
name. Say your
I
name so
know
we know who
who
you
is the unknown
are.
Facebook user. You also made a
Oh,
comment saying I teach that we can't make decisions with our money with emotions, which is a true statement. I'm so glad you're teaching that. I'm so glad that what we're saying is being confirmed in the audience so that
yeah.
y'all know that we're not just pulling something that like we're talking from wisdom. This is from experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so thank you for sharing that. All right,
Oh,
so let's see. I don't think they were able to jump in and tell us. So I do have a winner. I don't know if y'all can see it. Oh, who's that? It's out of focus. Sharon.
oh,
Sharon. Sharon was the under. Okay. So
oh,
Sharon, you are the winner. So we will definitely make sure that
oh.
we have all of Angelica's information at the end of the live so you can connect with her. And I'm gonna let you tell her how to reach out to you. But thank you so much. Like I didn't want this conversation to end. It was such a good conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to actually share what I have, did in my own life. And I just want to help anyone that wants to win in the area of their finances or diversifying their income. So whether you're a hairstylist or not, I mean, the conversation can go really far. So
Yeah. So tell people how we can connect with you.
So my website is the best place to connect with me. And then from there, it's angelicaprather.com. And from there, you can find me on all of my social media platforms. The first page you go to, it's those little links that take you there directly. So if you want to connect with me on Facebook or you want to connect with me on LinkedIn or any of those in my YouTube channel, which I host my live show, The Cheers Blueprint, specifically for hairstylists and beautypreneurs, but you can connect with me on any of those. And if you want to get directly to me, even my email is on there. So nothing is hidden. So definitely connect with me for sure.
And tell us about Charge Your Worth Academy because you mentioned that you have created this platform.
Yes, so Charge Your Worth Academy is not my baby. It is my asset and my tool,
That's
but
right.
it is it is a virtual educational hub for hairstylists and beautypreneurs to actually cover these four pillars, and that is your increase your income, right? So create your revenue goals, create cash flowing into your business, which most hairstylists do not have things cash flowing into their business, and then it's also to cover your money management. You cannot make money without managing it, right? So I
Mm,
want to get you out of that mentality of just making money. My program is completely different than anyone's. I'm going to teach you how to manage it, right?
mm,
So we manage your money, so that's key. We also help you to figure out what your exit strategy plan. We do tax planning in there by the lovely Samara of Five Finance. And so we actually start you on that income, right? Preparing your income to actually start building wealth. So I want to debunk any of the myths about money because a lot of
mm.
us are not sitting at the table talking about it. So it is a love environment and it's a group coaching program, and we go through your finances. So you don't have to be on the struggle bus for very long when it comes to your money, and you have to release that story that we've been sharing that we just don't know. So that is Charge Worth Academy. You can go right to chargeworthacademy.com, and actually there's a lot of information on there. So if you want to connect with me there, you also have that opportunity as well.
Right. And I believe Sharon, that's where you can find all her information. So you connect with her, so you can book that free income strategy call that you just won. And so she didn't do herself justice. I feel like it's also a judgment free zone, y'all. Like I've seen her students go through the class and to see where they started and to see where they how far they have come. It's kind of scary, right? Nobody likes to talk about their finances, right? It's almost like
No,
it's taboo. We don't want
it
to
is.
talk about it. But if we don't talk about it, how can you get help? Right. And
Yes.
so it's a judgment free zone. So I want to make sure that I stress that. So no matter where you are in your journey, connect
Hmm.
with Miss Angelica Prather. Okay.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that part, but they do increase their income about 40 to 50%. So that's
Yeah.
huge.
You cannot forget that part. Okay. Because that is tremendous. Right.
Yeah.
And not only are they increasing it, but they're retaining most of it because she is teaching them how to manage it. Right. And then I
Mhm.
pull up the rear and I say, this how you're going to save in taxes.
That's right.
So thank you so much, Angelica. It has been an
Thank
absolute
you.
pleasure having you on. I
Thank
am
you.
going to allow you to wait backstage while I say goodbye to my guests. But thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you guys for
Okay, so Five Finance family, thank you again for joining us on the live tonight. It was such a pleasure having you all. And I thank you. I know we went a little bit over time, but I thank you all for rocking with us during the whole time while we had Angelica walk us through how to turn our problems into our problems into a passion, right? And strategically do it in a manner where we are not only generating income, but we are also retaining most of that and building a legacy, right?
Mhm.
So again, for Finance family, I hope you enjoyed it. We are going to have a guest next week. We are going to have another guest on, and she's going to be our expert, okay? And she's going to be talking to us about mental health. So this may be different, okay? And so since May is all about mental health awareness, we definitely want to have a guest on to talk us through that. So until next time, Five Finance family, thank you for joining us and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday evening. We will see you soon.